Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. This is a $50 coffee grinder. This is a $500 coffee grinder. And this is a $2,000 coffee grinder. And today we're gonna compare these three grinders to see what you get for the money. Is spending more money necessary for a coffee grinder at the home? And can we even taste the difference in the coffee that they create? In fact, in this video, I'll taste test all three of these, and I'll do so blindfolded to remove any confirmation bias to see if I can tell the difference. And I'll also bring in Natasha, who's not a pro, but your typical coffee drinker, to see if she can taste the difference. So while I have a trained palate and I've tasted and tested many different grinders, she'll represent many of you, well, who aren't coffee nerds. So today we're gonna look at these grinders and how they work, how they look and sound, how their build quality stacks up to one another, and finally, how does the coffee they make taste? Can we tell the difference? Before we do that, we should go over the competitors in this video. But first, if you could all do me a huge favor, tap that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and comment down below your favorite location to get coffee with friends. Just for fun, I'd love to read every single one of those comments down below. So let's start with our cheapest coffee grinder. Now this right here, this is the Cuisinart Supreme Grind. But at 50 bucks, this is an electric burr grinder, which is pretty hard to find. So today I really am rooting for this grinder because I'm all for value. Can this grinder beat these two? We'll see. Now our second grinder is the Niche Zero. And at $500, this is not a cheap grinder by any means. This one costs 10 times more than this one. Is this actually 10 times better of a grinder? Well, we'll find out. Now this is what they call a single dosing grinder, and this means basically what you put in, you get out. There's no space for holding beans, there's no hopper, you just open it up and grind on demand. And then lastly, we have this $2,000 coffee grinder right here called the Weber Workshop Key. Now this is a grinder that is built with impeccable build quality and designed by ex-Apple engineer Douglas Weber. What makes it worth $2,000? Let's break these grinders down even further. So let's start back with the Cuisinart. This uses two ceramic plates or flat burrs that have little teeth on them to cut and break down the coffee. Now you adjust the spacing between the burrs by twisting this hopper, and it has different notches here, making the grounds coarser or finer depending on your brew method like espresso or French press. Now you pour your coffee beans up here and adjust the time it grinds by selecting how many cups of coffee you want. On here it goes from 4 to 18. Now you press the start button and it grinds into this plastic chamber. Let's try it. Okay. Without destroying it, I think it's, it grinds coffee, right? If all you care about is grinding coffee, this will grind your coffee for you, but it's gonna probably break your ears in the process. It sounds terrible. It sounds like an old vacuum that really needs to be serviced. And then the coffee grounds themselves, you can tell there is a wide distribution of uniformity, right? You've got coarse pieces and you've got little fines. That, in my opinion, is going to have an impact on the flavor that we have in the cup, but we'll see. Now the Niche Zero is noticeably better looking, at least in my opinion. But what makes the Niche Zero so interesting is how it works. You see, if we unscrew the top here, we can find a burr set much larger than the Cuisinart. It's got a whole different geometry. This is a conical burr, they would call it. So it's got a cone in the center and a ring around the outside. Now this is a 63mm burr that is much bigger, allowing it to break down coffee with more precision and reducing the heat buildup when grinding your coffee. In theory, both of these things should have a large impact on the flavor in the cup. This is designed in the UK and it's all built of metal with nice wood materials. It looks nice. It looks like a nice appliance you'd want in your kitchen. It's just something more enjoyable you'd want to use every day. Let's grind some coffee on this one. I mean, just so much better. So much better. But you would expect that. You're paying 10 times the amount. Let's go back to this one for a second. Just make it stop. And then finally we have the Key. And again, we notice a large jump in build quality from even the Niche Zero. Where this grinder was 10 times more valuable than this one, is this grinder actually 4 times better than the Niche? Let me show you how it works. Like the Niche, we're gonna put our coffee in here and it's a single dosing grinder. You adjust the grind size by spinning this dial right here. You put your coffee beans up here and it grinds it into this magnetic cup that is just ever so satisfying. Now the whole thing is just incredibly well built. All built of very thick metal. Also, this thing is incredibly quiet. Have a listen. So at this point, you just want to know if you can notice any difference in the cup. So let's brew some coffee. And while I'm preparing and brewing the coffee from each one of these grinders, here's a quick ad from today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. Now, maybe you're like me and you need a website or domain. If so, I'd recommend you check out Squarespace. It makes creating beautiful, creative, and fun spaces and transform them into live websites incredibly easy. You start with an idea, possibly grab a domain along the way, sign up for a free trial, and you have yourself a website. And when I say it's easy, I truly mean it. Use one of their many templates and use it for a portfolio or maybe a blog or a small business like a cafe, a coffee roastery, or maybe it's something completely different. It really doesn't matter what it is. Squarespace has you covered on every browser and every device. No need to learn how to code. Just import your own photos, your ideas, and your videos. It's just easy. But don't just take my word for it. Sign up for the free trial down below and create something. Put your stamp on the internet and see how incredibly easy it is. Don't put it off any further. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Kyle or use code Kyle, K-Y-L-E, to save 10% off your website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, so much for sponsoring this video. So it's the next day and we've dialed all of these grinders in to brew V60, roughly the same. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a taste test. Can I taste the difference between these three grinders? And then we're gonna have 𝙇𝙨 come in and she's actually gonna taste test these as well. Now I'm gonna do these blindfolded because I know if I don't, two things, somebody's gonna say it in the comments. And the other thing is I really want as many confirmation biases gone as possible. So although I don't know which one is which right here, I'm just gonna blindfold myself, which is probably gonna be messy. We're gonna do it anyways. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and guess which one is which. And I'm nervous. I'm nervous because if I get these wrong, this is gonna be embarrassing if I mix this guy up with this one. I think the only thing left for us to do is to try these. Okay, this is the first cup. Okay, I think this is the Cuisinart. I think this is the key. I'm just gonna commit. Is this the Cuisinart? It is the Cuisinart. Oh, thank the Lord. Oh, there was noticeable astringency in this one. It was muddy. It felt dry. It felt muddy and just wasn't a good cup of coffee. Now these two were much harder. These two are much closer. What did I say? I think this was the key. That's the niche and this is the key. It could have been the coffee. It could have been a bunch of factors, right? So these two I mixed up, which makes sense. You know, when you're getting to these price ranges, this is where diminishing returns comes in. You know, so this one really is harder to taste test blind. And I could tell the difference between the Cuisinart. That one made sense. These two here, these were closer. Let's bring 𝙇𝙨 in. 𝙇𝙨, come on over. So we're gonna, are you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so this is 𝙇𝙨, and 𝙇𝙨's gonna taste test these. Now I'm not gonna make you blindfolded. I'm not gonna blindfold you for these because, I mean, you're not gonna tell the difference visually. No. But you're gonna try these and see if you can guess which is which. Okay? All right.
I think that one is the Cuisinart because it was gross and bitter.
You're assuming this is the cheapest cup of coffee or the cheapest grinder.
I think this one's the niche. That one's pretty smooth. Yeah, I think that's the key. That one's pretty, I get probably the most flavor out of that one. Okay. That one's the most smooth. That one's the most bitter tasting.
Okay, so this one's bitter. So like describe smooth. What does that mean? What does smooth mean to you?
Just like a sweet, traditional coffee.
Okay, and then you said this one you get more flavors.
That one's the most flavorful.
Okay, so I would describe that as clarity. You can probably distinguish the different flavors in the cup. Let's see if you're right. That's the Cuisinart, so you got that one right. Okay, so that's pretty good. This one, okay, so this one's the key and this one's the niche. So you mix these two up, but that goes to show like when you're getting to these price points, there's diminishing returns. Yeah. Right? So like the difference between this and this was very easy for you to distinguish.
Yeah, very
Okay,
easy.
But this one to this one, not so much.
No, that was hard.
Okay, and that would make sense because these do have very similar burrs. All right, thank you, 𝙇𝙨.
Now we're on opposite sides.
So what can we take away from this? Well, the theme of this video really is diminishing returns. When you're spending more money for a grinder, you will get better results. Now, if you're new to coffee or just diving into this, I just rightfully can't recommend this grinder. There may be other great grinders around this price range. It doesn't mean all $50 grinders are bad. What I would say is focus less on luxuries at this price and more on grind quality. So what I'm gonna do is leave a link down below for grinders that are like hand grinders. So you don't have a motor, you don't have like time features, you don't have a hopper, but what it does focus on is grind quality. You just have to do the manual labor. But what I would say is when you're spending more money, at $50, when you double that price, you're probably gonna get almost double a grinder. right? If you spend 4 times as much, you're probably gonna get 4 times better of a grinder. This grinder here just was a pain to use. The results in the cup were bad, like it was not a good cup of coffee, and I don't know the longevity of a grinder like this. It took forever for the grounds to go through because the coffee beans kept popping out of the coffee hopper. But when you jump up to something that's $500, which is 10 times more in value, but you do get your returns for what you're spending on when you're spending this much money. Now you don't need to spend $500, or a grinder's cheaper than this. In fact, again, I'll leave a couple links for some grinders I'd recommend down below. The thing is, when you're jumping up to a $2,000 grinder, this is where the law of diminishing returns comes into play. This grinder, in my opinion, doesn't taste 4 times better than this one does. What it does have is more luxuries and use. It's better built for sure. It's just engineered so well, but the results in the cup aren't 4 times better, right? You might want to spend $2,000 on a grinder because these things might be important to you. This is a luxury. And even this is a luxury, right? You don't have to spend this much, but hopefully this makes sense. A lot of diminishing returns really comes into play with a grinder. So I'll leave a couple links down below, and I would love to know your thoughts on this. How much would you want to spend for a coffee grinder? What is the ideal price for you? And if you've gotten this far in the video, let me know by writing down in the comments below, drip with homage. Speaking of which, check out this new merch. This is actually hand-drawn by an artist named Primo, and this is a portafilter, obviously dripping with espresso, but it's spouting above the portafilter with coffee farms. Drip with respect for those who brought it to us. The ones who are putting in the work, the farmers, the producers, the ones that we really need to focus on. So new merch dropping soon. Let me know if you're excited for that down below. Hit a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more videos, including more videos on these two, because we're doing an ultimate single dosing grinder comparison very soon. We'll see you guys all in the next video. Love every single one of you. Peace.